I really appreciate it. So I am Gary Chambers, a North Baton Rouge boy, born and raised, who smoked a blunt in the ad and got a whole bunch of people having a conversation, excuse me, about what needs to happen around legalization of cannabis in this country. And really it's a justice and an equity issue. I've kind of had a story that propelled me into conversations that I wasn't necessarily looking for that way. I found out I was an activist in the newspaper. I was really just a concerned citizen in North Baton Rouge trying to make a difference. I had a media platform called the Rouge Collection, and I wrote these columns. There was a brother named Lamar Johnson who a few weeks before Sandra Bland was arrested in Baker, which is a little small town in North Baton Rouge, and he was taken to Parish Prison, and a few days later they said he hung himself. I wrote a column about it, and 40,000 people read that column. I knew then that people cared about that issue, that it was something that needed to be talked about. A few months later, our district attorney in Baton Rouge was attempting to open a misdemeanor jail, which basically would round up people who had traffic violations and cart them off to jail until they could pay their fine. So most of the people with those traffic violations are people who couldn't afford to pay the fine, which is why they ended up with the bench warrant in the first place. And so we had this misdemeanor jail. I wrote columns about it, and dozens of young black men showed up at a Baton Rouge City Council meeting. We spoke out about it, and we killed a misdemeanor jail, and Baton Rouge hadn't had one ever since. When they closed 2 hospitals, and my community didn't have an emergency room, where my parents, who are 75 and 79, live, the data says that if you live within 6 miles of an emergency room in a heart attack or a stroke situation, that you're in the safe zone. And my parents were about 12 miles away from the nearest emergency room. And so rather than sit and listen to people talk about why we didn't have health care in North Baton Rouge, I got with a commission of people, folks that were much smarter than me. We got a panel of people, and we went after business owners who would come into North Baton Rouge and open emergency rooms. We pitched to the governor. Governor didn't pick our plan, but now North Baton Rouge has an emergency room that is servicing that community. That's without an elected position, without a title. Before you guys ever heard about me, that's the work I was doing, right? And the reason I'm in this race is because I live in a state that ranks 50th in the nation. And if it takes me smoking a blunt to get you to pay attention to the fact that people in Louisiana are suffering, I'll smoke 2 blunts a day on camera and make sure that you invite all of your friends to tell people that there's a Senate race in Louisiana that can be won, but we need people around the country to pay attention to us. What you gotta know about Louisiana is you love our music, you love our food, you love our culture, but do you really love our people? Because you have people who are living in communities where we rank 49 in environmental quality, where we're married to an oil and gas industry that doesn't produce enough jobs for everybody to be able to have a livable wage in the state. Our economy ranks number 49 in the nation, and we rank number 50 in crime as a result. And if you're telling me that jailing people for cannabis is making us safer, that's a lie. Because we rank 50 in crime, homicides are breaking scores every major city around this country. And the only way we stop that is if we're smart with the resources that everybody in this room is paying into the government to make those resources work for everyday working people. Now that's the story, right? The question is, how do we move forward together? And how we move forward together is building a cannabis industry that works for everybody from every zip code, that decriminalizes at every level in this country, that makes sure that the dollars for research that exist are going not just to big pharmaceutical companies, but they're reaching in an equitable way into black and brown businesses to make sure that these companies have the resources that they need to expand care, right? Because cannabis isn't just for people having fun. Is the game bad? Is the game bad?
He got lit up.
You know, I won't mess up with what's happening with the football now. I understand. But seriously, there's a real opportunity for social equity and progress. But we got to be honest about that up front, right? And so we didn't know that this video would do as well as it did. We knew that we would cut through the noise and get into the conversation. But now we want to have real conversations about how we make change in this country, in every area of this country. And I need your help to do it. This moment for me is more than just about a commercial. It's about the information that we're putting out. It's about every 37 seconds people getting arrested for use of small possession of cannabis, right? That's terrible. That's terrible. when you can go to 19 states in this country now and legally purchase it. And then in Louisiana, for instance, the government takes my tax dollars and grows cannabis at LSU and Southern University and then sells it to the consumer in the medicinal market at skyrocket prices, right? So it's good for the government to grow it, but you're still gonna lock people up for it. There's still people sitting in Angola penitentiary as a result of it. And so if it requires us to be a little controversial, we'll be that. Many people may have heard about me before this from a video at a school board meeting with a lady named Connie, who was shopping while the meeting was going on, and I let her know that it was what we needed to be doing, and that created a national conversation around changing the name of Robert E. Lee High School to what is now Liberty High School. So what I'm telling you is, without an elected title, without a position, without ever being in public office, we've already made monumental change. I believe we can make monumental change in the cannabis industry. I believe that we can make this an equitable change where people from every zip code have the ability to participate, and that this can be an economic driver where we can take the resources from that and fix our schools, our bridges, and our communities. Because listen, people gonna smoke it regardless, all right? What you doing with the dollars when the government gets it? So thank y'all, I really appreciate y'all being here today.